So one of the strongest drives or inclinations we have is to belong. To belong. If we belong to something, it gives us meaning. We feel orientation. We have a sense that we know where we're going. We're not alone. And this search for belonging takes one into companionship. Doesn't always work. Takes one into a hobby or a pastime or a club or a pursuit. Sort of, some of it. Takes one to relationships. Yeah, sort of. And certain things are rather paradoxical about it. One is that the experience of loneliness, by and large, doesn't occur in solitude. It occurs when you're with people you don't feel any heart connection to. So, I think one is in a forest, place like that, one can feel profoundly comfortable. Because nothing is resisting, nothing is closed, there's no sense of being excluded. Nature doesn't know how to exclude. Humans do. And it's this quality of exclusion or non-inclusion, not necessarily a conscious exclusion, just a non-inclusion, where the heart is shielded or closed or not available. When we sense that, we get this quality of feeling unheard, not seen, not recognized, perhaps seen as an object, not valued as a fellow being. And this is the quality we experience as alienation, aloneness. A number of words one can use for that. But bearing in mind that, you check it out for yourself, but by and large, this quality is prevalent in cities, where there are 100,000, 200,000, million people living. You're not alone. But when there's 200,000 people not including you, you are alone. And how do they not include you? Well, they don't listen, don't sense, don't value, see you as a number, a figure, an item on a screen, a statistic, a customer, an object. Deal with it, put it to one side, get on. And to a greater or lesser degree, hopefully a lesser degree, but certainly one comes across these situations where you know what's happening within you is of no interest or concern. You are definitely an external object, either a money carrier or a passport carrier or a ticket holder or someone who doesn't have the right cred. Therefore, and this gives a certain, quality in a life. We learn to be present with it because, when you're in this situation, you more or less have to bear with it. And it's not the absence of bodies. It's not the absence of movies, or they can mask it, or the absence of music or books or sport or entertainments or stuff. They can kind of sedate it, but they don't actually remove it. And the quality, or one of the features of urban life, particularly, is how much of it is about going forward, getting both in terms of space, get down the street, and in terms of time, get on to the next thing. And promptly, please. Move along. So it's very much a forward direction. Yeah. And the forward direction is always to somewhere where we're not, isn't it? Yeah. Because you're not there yet. So you're like that. Actually, in reality, surely, you can only be really where you are. You can't be somewhere in the future, or at the end of the street. You're going to be here. And how you more fully experience that is I call it you widen. Something in you widens to appreciate and take in the qualities. And the heart opens in that. You get it. Here I am. And the mind comes out of this rhythm which is driving it forward, and we come into presence and things change. We can open, we feel present, we feel in our space. And even when you're physically in open around, that quality of being in felt space where you actually are has a certain strength, comfort, presence to it. It's like you're breathing real air. And you realise that the world of the future has no air in it. It's purely an idea. The world of tomorrow, at the end of the street, the job projection, the performance where's that? It's purely a set of thoughts in your head and a certain drive to get there. And there's no air in that. There's no real tangible quality of presence in that. It's purely imagined. And we are often, by circumstance, in urbanised industrial life, thrust in that direction. Yeah? And you look around, and everybody's thrust in that direction. So the cars are crossing, people are shooting past each other, saying hi, but not really having the time or the space to open into, well, how are you? How is it now? Yeah? And this becomes very common. You may be able to do that on occasion, a coffee break or evening, but probably a large amount of one day can be spent in that kind of territory. And I call it moonscape. There's no air. It's like, where am I? And mostly we don't really ask the question because where I am is I'm getting down. I'm on East 49th, rushing down the road to get to so and so's by 8 o'clock. That's where I am. Those things come in. But what are that? What's that? Words, sounds, concepts that cannot respond. You can't feel them in your heart. All you feel in your heart is a sense of got to get there, or you can't feel it because it's not hard experience. If you go to the hard experience, it's generally one of mild, sustained panic. Low-level panic that occasionally peaks when you think, I'm late. Oh my God, I'm late. A traffic jam. What am I going to say about this bluster? So it goes into these. I can't do the job. I can't reach the performance, which is what I'm supposed to do. Because one of the conditioning process that goes along with this forward drive is, if you get there, you will be fine. You'll be accepted, you'll belong, you'll be in the good team, you'll get rewarded, you'll be admired, you'll be praised, you'll be comfortable. If you get there. If you haven't got there, if you're not comfortable, you haven't got there yet, so go a bit faster. Or perhaps go another direction, but just keep going. And where you're going to is taking you out of your place of comfort, warmth, acceptance, feeling comfortable with yourself. Because that can only happen where you are. So we get conditioned into this kind of thing, this conditioning process. We abandon presence for an imagined future where I'll be okay, where I'll have accomplished, and and so on. And as long as we move on that, we're taking along with us this conditioning process of not good enough yet. But if you tried a bit harder, you could be. If you went a bit faster, somebody else has got there, surely. They look good. You haven't, because you haven't got the smarts or whatever it is to get there. So it's a very narrowing kind of direction. And again, this is a big feature of life. Social life is performance. There's only one winner in the team. And everybody else says, well, okay, not bad, but there's only one winner. And, you're not it. Because nobody wins. But they don't tell you that. Because the person who won the baseball game feels that they're a loser in terms of their relationships. The person who won in the job is a loser in terms of their peace of mind. So, and we feel this sense of loss because the conditioned world actually can't provide what we need. It doesn't do it. So this, and just check it out, And the conditioned world runs in terms of time, clock time, futures, space which is always get somewhere else. Increasingly it runs in terms of better, progress, development, upwards, ever upwards, forwards, better, performance to get better. It runs in terms of comparison. She is, I'm not. She's got one, I don't. He's got that opportunity I didn't have. I'm missing out because those three got it but I didn't. It runs like that. So in a state of agitation and uncertainty and a feeling of loss. And what occurs with that is this closure of the heart, because it closes because of the discomfort of that. When the heart closes, human being has very little resource apart from sense contact, so eat more, watch more, listen more, have more stuff coming in to fill up the gap. Buy one. Fill it up. So this is also part of our conditioning, isn't it? And really all these directions, to fill up, to consume, to compete, to be better, are taking us away from what we might call refuge, presence, the place where we can settle and feel a sense of worth and value. This is what we have to meet, or the fascination with it, or the belief in it is what we have to meet, because it starts off, certainly we can experience that in the world we can see with our eyes, hear with our ears, listen to the messages that are coming off the screens, And the media, with a constant drip, 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 constant saturation of get ahead, get on, become, have more, get away, enjoy this, and progress, and she's really great, look at him smiling, and they're really beautiful, and nice car, new one, faster, quicker. All that stuff going on, which is all driving in that direction. And how to pull out of that. Because if we feed on that, which probably we will do, since we search for our happiness, it does give one some happiness. But also means that it generates a society and a culture which is extremely exclusive. It's competition. It means there's only one winner. It means that we spend a lot of time searching for ourself. Other people are, well, what can she do for me? I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, but these are the kind of tones and moods and suggestions that come in. I'm on my own. I've got to get ahead for myself. And the more that we follow that, when it comes down to it, sorry, I'm leaving you behind, I'm getting mine. It's kind of what happens. You see this played out very much when it becomes exaggerated in real performers. But we live in this context where this becomes the norm, even presented as this is your individual right for freedom. Where you're on your own, not not with anybody, doing it for yourself. This is your privilege to get exactly what you want, fulfillment for yourself. So faster, faster, harder, harder, buy more, spend more, have more. And every opportunity that can provide you with those things is to be taken, to fill up that funny, achy feeling that you get at the end of the day or the beginning of the day when you open your eyes. And you think, oh, okay, better get going. And of course, it doesn't do it. So this is the kind of like becomes an addiction. In a sense, something in us can often recognise this isn't really doing it, and yet we keep doing it. That's called an addiction. It means it begins to swing out of control. So really the occasion of Dhamma, I call it an occasion, I don't necessarily mean an hour and a half an hour. It's a place in the heart that we can open out and actually walk around it. It's an occasion or an area or a particular constellation or a potential in the heart, or Dhamma, which goes against exclusivity, performance, furthering, going onwards, becoming, and selfhood. And these are big topics, aren't they? When you really investigate them. But there's a place in our hearts, in our awareness, whatever you want to call it, internal, where that can begin to be challenged and alleviated and released and finished with. That's the possibility, and it's like an opening. We can recognize the mind can move very quickly, can move on to the next point, on to the end of the sentence, on to the answer to the question, on to the progress, on to the next thing. It can do that forward direction. It can also dither. Like, what am I supposed to? What am I supposed to? Where am I supposed to go? It can also freeze. Like, I don't know what's going on. What am I supposed to do? It freeze up. Tighten up. Those are things we know. And we call them the Fs. Fight, flight, faint, freeze. If anything else fails, fake it. Because they're all the pressure on the self to accomplish, to get somewhere. So if we can't, we may fight, push against others to get somewhere. We may flight, we may run from discomfort to get to a comfortable place. We may faint, just beats me, I don't know, zone out. We may freeze, just tighten up, fear. What am I supposed to do? Or we can fake it. I'm fine, everything's fine with me. I just need to keep moving, But I'm fine. How are you? So these are the kind of things that happen, for people. Or so you can meet some of those mechanisms as you start to come into pausing, and opening, because this is the other possibility the mind can do, which is instead of moving forward, instead of dithering and wavering, instead of freezing and freaking, it can just feel that sense of comfort, discomfort, the pressures, and just start to soften and open. This is very much the encouragement of Dhamma, to steady, to soften these drives, the pressure of them, and to open. And for that we have to meet very powerful drives which become ingrained in us, very powerful senses of self-consciousness which become ingrained in us as we carry a kind of self-image, or self-impression, and the self-impression is always exclusive. I am different from. It's always that, otherwise there's no impression. It can be the case that you experience times when that disappears. You're still there, but you don't have this sense of separate from, excluded, or excluding others. And that feels great. You get by a lot better without a self than you do with one. So when we cultivate Dhamma, it's important to recognize this in general is the direction towards presence, towards opening, to meeting these pressures and not reacting to them in these ways of the Fs. Not fighting them, not running away from them, not fainting, that's spacing out, not freezing, panicking, going rigid, or not faking it, not pretending we're feeling better than we are, or pretending something. You say the willingness to experience uncomfortable feeling, because all these qualities that we've, the conditioning qualities, as we start to enter Dhamma, their discomfort becomes apparent. The nervousness, the self-criticism, the need to find something, the anxiety about not having found anything, become apparent, and they don't necessarily put themselves in words, they come as emotional currents, waves, even energy waves that start to squeeze your body. So to meet that, and to not believe in the stories that come out of that, about what you are, what you should be, what somebody else is, what people think of you, and so on and so on and so on. To come straight into presence, to meet that And this essentially is the first noble truth. And the preparation to meet the first noble truth, to meet dukkha. And this is what it is. Right now. This is the dukkha of the sense of self, of conditionality, of being seemingly a separate entity in a world and a domain of otherness. You can, of course, configure that in many ways as the dukkha of pain. Clearly, the Buddha said, you don't really get beyond that. The dukkha of death, you don't get beyond that. Sickness, you don't get beyond that. But there's a dukkha you do get beyond. You call it the dukkha of the 5 aggregates. And if you crunch it down, it means the sense of selfhood. Consciousness, I'm looking at that. That's an aggregate. Fundamental. Who is the eye who's looking? Who is the ear that's hearing? Who is that? Explore these. And the primary, active, most potent I am experience is in what's called sankhara, sanya sankhara. Sanya is the learnt patterns, the learnt meanings, such as successful, such as winner, such as better. What's that mean? These are learnt meanings, right? That we learn. We learn them because they're being spoken about all the time. People are getting all kinds of, praise or success because of those things. Oh, well, I want one of those. I want to be better, successful, winner. Yeah. Why? Because then you get this feel good. So we kind of take on those meanings, and then sankhara, the various responses and actions and drives and programs that rise from those meanings. How I can get, how I can be, or even how I'm never going to get. So some of these programs are very, not just directive, but they're also self-forming. They're activities that turn around and complain about us. There are activities that turn around and talk to you. When you're sitting still, they talk to you. And they tell you all kinds of things. And they worry you. And they frighten you. Oh, who's that? That's called sankhara. It's a kind of program that runs in various ways. It tells you about other people, who they are, and what they want, and what they need, and how you should be this for them. Did I sign up for that? What they expect of you, they tell you that. What they think of you, they tell you that. What you're not, they tell you that. What you should be, they tell you that. There are these programs that are running that keep defining and forming you into this entity. And at the same as they do that, they create a kind of a shell of identity around the heart that cuts you off from actually sensing or feeling open, or even really being with other people. And this gets established. So somebody was telling me the other day, I think many people are starting to listen and learn and sense, and many people experience this quality of not quite good enough, or in fact deeply not good enough, not just quite, but deeply flawed, unworthy. Unworthy of people giving things, or unworthy of being, unless you do something. You've got to do something to make yourself worthy. And this kind of experience comes in. Nobody can like me unless I do something good. Nobody will accept me unless I make something happen. Yeah? This kind of thing going. Yeah? And this person was saying, that she'd been with this kind of background conditioning, she'd always been a tremendous performer, top of the class, this kind of thing going. And but she still felt basically not good enough, not lovable. So feeling not lovable, she assumed that all the other young men around her didn't like her, because she was essentially, not lovable. And she created this hard shell of performance drive to prove she was good enough. But what she couldn't do was experience being loved. So this performance was like a compensation for this sense of fundamental unworthiness. And so she was saying she lived like that, keeping people at arm's distance and thinking they didn't like her. And then years later, she met some of these men and said, "Wow, we were really attracted to you. You look so great. But you had this incredible straight arm quality that made us frightened of coming near you." How did that happen? The sense of self-driven creates a shell. We even fear the attention of others because we feel we're not worthy, we should do something, we fear it, and so we assume that that's coming from them. It's actually coming from our own woundedness. So these things can take on very personal, intimate, embarrassing forms. But this essentially is what, when selfhood, from the Buddhist point of view, this is what we're talking about. Doesn't mean nothing here. Doesn't mean we're just blank sheets. What it does mean is there's a lot of heart going on. And some of that heart is extremely uncomfortable because it's had these messages run across it. You should be, you should have, you should become, you're different, there's something wrong, you're not, you will be, they're better. So it's a very uncomfortable terrain. But it's also the area which contains the seeds of liberation. So as we enter into that, the very quality of our willingness to enter into that, a kind of basic faith and courage, starts to just touch these seeds of awakening. Yeah? And that's how it grows. It's touching this. And just the courage, the faith, to be present with one's sense of inadequacy and just not follow it. And begin to, from that place where you find enough foundation to stand still for a moment, and from there generate the quality or recollect the quality of calm, stillness. I'm in my space. Nothing around me is obstructing, intrusive. I can stay in this. And the heart begins to wake up out of its frozen state and begins to experience the quality of loving kindness, well-being. At the very bottom level, the bottom level of loving kindness is I feel safe. I feel open. Nobody's bothering me. I don't have to run. I don't have to fear. I don't have to judge. I don't have to achieve. That's the bottom level, but it's actually the essential level of loving kindness towards this. And until we touch that, the rest of it is just really a nice idea. A very nice idea. And a good idea. But it doesn't touch the territory, the domain of dukkha. It doesn't clear it. Because, if we haven't touched that, then it's, I don't have enough loving kindness. I should have more loving kindness in here. She's got a lot of it. She's got so much loving kindness. I feel like a jerk compared with her. If I was really a good practitioner, I would oodles of loving kindness. So you do the same thing again, Competition, performance, self-consciousness. Around Dhamma practice, And the whole point is to get you out of it. So it's we'd really, to enter the occasion of Dhamma, you've got to go, even small points, but small points taken very deeply, right to the base of the mind. Like, I'm in my own space, I can breathe, I'm alive, there's potential, I can feel, I can sense a sense of, comfort for myself, just in that space. And then arising from that. And of course, the field of Dhamma, as you touch into it, is a very, very rich field. It's the field of Dhamma lies in the heart, and it, along with the field of dukkha. These are two patterns, you could say the pattern, the samsaric pattern, is running across that. There's also the liberation potentials are in that. And so, we can assume there's somewhere else. If I didn't have this, I'd really get to that good stuff. But actually the good stuff is right where the bad stuff is, if you know how to pause, stop, open to it, investigate, feel the feeling, calm, soften, widen, find your own space, and release the pressure to be, to have, to identify, to become, to make things work, to have an answer. Even release the desire to release something. I should have released this by now. She released it 5 years ago. Why am I so slow at releasing things? Oh no, here we go again, It's really, that's why it's called a kaliko. You've got to drop the time boundary whenever it starts to rise. Whenever you get that sense of the boundaries of time, this is not Dhamma. Dhamma is a kaliko, means timeless, not in time. And it's that dropping out of time means the last 40 years of history doesn't matter. You can think, I've been like this for so many years. It's going to go on forever. I'm stuck. That's time. The heart doesn't live in time. Time is a construction of the mind, conditioned mind. So we create the occasion of Dhamma. We could say it's here and now, but that makes it seem like it's a tiny point. It's actually, when you begin to touch into it, you realise the here and now covers everything. Everything that you hear, sense, feel is happening in the here and now. That's the only place it happens. The future happens here and now. The future is just the past welling up, the past irresolutions, the past material that you haven't resolved, the past anxieties, the residues of desire and competition, welling up and generating a future. So, in Dhamma practice, we don't resolve the future, we resolve the past, and the future stops. And we're in the present. We're open to that. So when we have an occasion, we can create a Dhamma occasion. One of the beauties of this Dhamma practice and Dhamma communities, beauties of Sangha communities, is you get the support. This is a tough practice because you're challenging some of the strongest drives and conditioned processes that are surrounding and sweeping over you time and time again. And you take refuge, you meditate, you do what you can, but it sure helps when you enter a situation when you look around and nobody's judging anybody. When you look around and there's no lock on the door. When you look around and there's no entry fee. So there's no sense of excluded, better, senior, junior, more advanced, less advanced. And instead, what do? We unify around opening our hearts towards the Dhamma. Puja. And beauty of puja, because when you chant, you hear the sound, it comes through your body, out through your throat, you hear it, and probably within 10 seconds, maybe less, everybody's hitting the same note. Do you notice that? If you listen, open your throat, relax your shoulders, open your chest and chant, within a few seconds, everybody's hitting the same note. And wasn't somebody going around saying, could you lift your voice, could you slow it, could you... It happened. That is, we have a natural, innate system that's attuned to harmony, that's attuned to non-self, that's attuned to sharing, communality. It's attuned to it. And we need an opportunity to experience that. You know, my croaky little wheezy voice, which I feel nervous about and embarrassed because I can't sing very well, nobody's caring. Just sing it, you know, and it will go along with the flow, and it will be totally accepted in the flow of the evening. And just to feel something like that, we all throw our little personal voices in, and they meet the great swell, and you recognise this is here, but it's also been going on for thousands of years. Throats have been opening. Shoulders have been relaxing, sound has been coming out, and it's the same sound, essentially. It's the sound of harmony. It's the sound of commitment. It's the sound of faith. It's the sound of, you're welcome too. And it's the sound of, there's a meaning here for us that's not delayed in time, that's not about becoming. There's a meaning here for us, which is, you're welcome to open. You're offered a chance to open. And within that, can you just take rest, stabilize, sense it. However you can sense it, this is the gift that comes back. So occasions like this, of course, are incredibly valuable. And once you get the sense of it, once you get the sense of what the opening quality can do, without changing your person in many ways, but just opening, you begin to understand, like what it takes to meet the first noble truth, to meet the pain and the pressure of that selfhood. And it's very, Buddha said there are three primary qualities that one generates, which are all doing the same thing. First, generosity, share. Share material things, share hospitality, share advice, share healing, share. Just share. Share time. Share attention. Share sympathy. Share. So the boundaries come down, don't they? We can all share. I can at least listen. I can share my attention. With that you realise, hey, you don't have to be that good. You don't have to be that smart. You don't have to be that fast. Anybody can do that. Well, they could. With encouragement, we can at least share our attention, share our hearts, share our sympathy. There's no winners and losers on that one. And then, everyone, the more you cultivate that, get the sense of, the beauty of being able to share, offer, give. And in fact, you start to feel a sense of privilege that there are people you can give to. Because if nobody can receive anything, how can you give things? And without the giving, how can there be the connection? How can there be the sharing? And this quality alone. I remember when I first entered holy life, bhikkhu life, going out for alms round, extremely difficult in many respects to receive alms food. I don't deserve it. They haven't got much money. Why are they doing this for me? If only they knew what was going on in my mind. I'm not good enough. They didn't care whether you were good enough. Well, they didn't ask. Didn't say, how's your meditation been last night? Oh, two grains of rice only, sorry. Well, in fact, you owe me some. You know, I gave you a spoonful of rice yesterday, what did you do with it? It was just... Yeah, and you couldn't walk past people. They say, stop, come back. I'm going to put food in your bowl. You know, just... Yeah. Because that's, you know, there's a sense of that. This is the occasion when people can feel big. I haven't got much, but I can put a spoonful of rice in somebody's bowl. I feel big. I feel my value comes up. Yeah? So there's no real winners and losers. We're unified in the field of dana, generosity and sharing. And it's something that, to get a sense of. I remember we were in starting our monastery in Britain, Chithurst, and then there's some local architects. So we've done some service. We wanted to just say, look, we just like to share something with you. So, I can't accept charity. You know, like, uh-oh. You know, the pride and the independence, I don't need it. I don't need it. You know, like, this is what, because to be needy makes me feel pathetic and small, you know, and inadequate. But this isn't about need, this is allow me the joy of sharing. Allow yourself to be given to, whether you need it or not. Then there's that sense, yeah? So the giver and the receiver both participate in this open heart. So you really get this quality, dwell upon this quality. This is a foundation for your freedom. Next quality, sila. Morality, which you can, what you want to structure into that, but the basic sense is to others as to myself. Respect, conscience and concern. We widen our sense of conscious concern to others as to myself. So again, the boundaries go down, don't they? We don't say, well, I can kill her because she's not a very nice person, but I shouldn't. You know, don't do it to anybody. The definitions go down. The selfhood goes down. The judging goes down. The measuring who's worth it and not worth it. Who deserves my dana and who doesn't. That goes down. We just dwell in that field of conscience and concern and sympathy and refusal to give up on anybody. This is a powerful field to dwell in, powerful potential. And then to myself. Self-respect. Sila makes you strong. Dana makes you happy. Sila makes you strong. You've got something to stand on in terms of how you act. And we act a lot, don't we? Third quality says, once you've seen the effect that the sense drives have on people, how it drives people crazy, greedy, competitive, jealous, embittered, lost, competitive, you want to get out of that. So you develop renunciation. Yeah? This is not about holier than thou, self-denial in that respect. What it means is one of the boundaries that lies between people is who's got more. Who's got more is up. Who's got less is down. Right? One of the stratifications in any society is the rich and the poor. Rich somehow are better because they're rich. They're better? That's where you want to be. To have more. Then you've succeeded in life. Well, check it out. When you look into the hearts, it's a lot of greedy, selfish, egomaniacs. I don't want to be judged, you know what I mean? I just did it, but just look, And what I found myself is that once you look, I don't want it. I don't want the new thing. I don't need it. Yeah. I don't care whether you've got one or not. It doesn't mean anything to me. You cut through that boundary. Renunciation is a powerful thing to cultivate, because renunciation starts to set you free from the compulsion to acquire and to have more. It sets you free from that. And then you, look, if you give me something, I'll give it away because I don't need it. I'm stronger than that. I don't. It doesn't bother me. I'm not into that. It sets you free from one of the most powerful drives that hook us, and surely is being broadcast day and night. Is I don't want it. And then, when that goes, the sense of stratification begins to dissolve, and again, you've begun to find what's most valuable, most rewarding, is the non-division, non-separation, non-exclusion. May all beings be well. Then you're ready. You've got the strength, you've got the happiness, you've got that way to be free. So I don't want that. Then you're ready to meet the first noble truth, which is going to push on all of those. It's going to tell you, grab hold. It's going to tell you to fight and deny. It's going to tell you to have your own. And you say, I don't want it. Yeah, and then the heart opens. These are kind of qualities that we can begin to develop from meditation. We meditate and then we begin to see what's the orientation of our lives. So we can't just sit still. What's the orientation that we take out into the world? It's got to be these three. Yeah, it's got to be these three to keep your values straight, to keep your kinship straight, to keep your measurement straight, to keep the heart open. With this, one has got a firm foundation for liberation. So offer this for your reflection tonight.